Harold. I don't know what you think you're doing. Excuse me. Hello. Got a dead white man in a box. Not even a casket. Doesn't even have a top on it. In a pine box of old wood. Who do you think's gonna get in trouble here?
Do me a favor. Try to be optimistic. You don't get here without things starting a long time ago. So, two soldiers and a nurse found ourselves in
Amsterdam.
We formed a pact, and we swore to protect each other, no matter what.
Tax the rich.
We find ourselves in a situation where we're accused of killing someone, which is not true.
Aloha. It's Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from beautiful Hawaii here on the island one, bringing you, guess you, the best movie reviews on the entire island of Oahu. And yes, this is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man. And last night, opening night, I went in and saw the new all-star studded movie, Amsterdam. And, well, remember our rating scale, shock a thumbs up. It's good to see, I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down, it's junk, I don't recommend it. And for the new movie starring Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Robert De Niro, cameos by Taylor Swift, many others, Anna Taylor-Joy, etc. It is overall a shock a thumbs down. Now, for any of you guys that have been following this movie, the trailers looked phenomenal. Basically, we were going to get, once again, another kind of, in the 30s, kind of a, looked like a gumshoe kind of detective mystery involving three friends, who were friends from the First World War. Apparently, at least from the trailers, seem to be living in Amsterdam, and they get involved in some kind of murder takes place, and they have to solve and find out who did the murder, as they are blamed for the murder wrongfully. That's what the trailer showed. And, early screenings gave a Rotten Tomatoes of rotten, well under the 50s, terrible for such an all-star ensemble. And I went and I saw it opening night, Thursday night of this weekend, and I can agree that it is definitely rotten. It is a shock a thumbs down all the way. Let me just say that Christian Bale is fabulous in this movie. He really disappears into this character amazingly. You almost don't know it's him. For much of the trailer, I didn't know it was him until I saw the credits. On that, Margot Robbie looks like Margot Robbie, as beautiful as ever. She is a joy to watch, and to look at in this film. John David Washington, he does another fine job. Again, this is probably the third movie I've seen him in. Tenant, Klansman, and then this movie. And he is a good actor. Does he hold up to the caliber of Christian Bale? I don't think so in this movie. Margot Robbie does a little better. Basically, I'm saying right now, until John David Washington does something else, he's pretty much almost playing the same character that he did in Tenant, that he did in Black Klansman, and then this movie. The delivery, the lines, the way that he does it are very well done. However, they all seem the same throughout the movies. Not to say that he's not a good actor, but I would like to see him broaden his range a little bit. You know, a la Christian Bale. Even Margot Robbie changes her looks throughout this movie. You know, takes on different accents. Christian Bale, very much the same way. I'd like to see John David Washington kind of attempt the same thing to stretch his acting that much further. The major problems with this film, it is an interesting mystery, a whodunit, and what is going on. It turns out to be much more of a political thriller than it is a basic whodunit that the trailers would, you know, let you know. I think the pacing for this movie is horrible, and the way that it is, the way that it unfolds, there are a lot of flashbacks. Once again, I think the flashbacks kill this movie. It should have just been told in a linear fashion, or just keep them, you know, in the trailers, we see them when they are young, in Amsterdam, living in Amsterdam, following World War I, becoming friends, having a very bohemian lifestyle, and then apparently they move back to the States where their friendship is strained and everything kind of falls apart as they are ground down by life and the American experience. At that time in the 30s, the Depression, etc., you know, racism, sexism, you know, we find out that even Christian Bale's character is not immune, as he is half Jewish and thus still discriminated upon or looked down upon for that very thing, especially as we find out that the political / mystery of the murder, political intrigue, has to do with a rising up again of Germany towards World War II and the rise of Hitler and the Nazism in the party in Germany, and how it's trying to take roots in America with an organization called the Collection of the Five, the Collective of the Five, which is basically this secret society run by rich industry tycoons, basically trying to put in their own people into the government of the United States and basically take over and establish something on par with what would be seen in the next World War II of Germany. Kind of an Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, all referred to in this movie. But, you know, all that is finally revealed in the third act, whereas the second and first act slog through various flashbacks, you know, talking about their lives, how things fell apart. It's like, look, you could have just kept them together as friends from Amsterdam and moved it into this mystery story. You didn't have to see and be shown inch by inch the crucibles of their lives after the war and after leaving the wonderful place of Amsterdam to face, you know, all this, you know, pain and hardship which drives them apart as friends, until this murder brings them back together. The trailers would have you think that these three are always working together, get involved in this murder, help and, you know, want to protect each other by solving this murder mystery. You know, and then it still could have moved into that political intrigue kind of scenario that it depicts. You know, Robert De Niro plays a general in this movie, and they try to, the Collective of the Five, try to install him as a dictator in America, but he isn't for it. Kind of an a la Trump kind of scenario, something that Robert De Niro has publicly spoken against Trumpism for. And I just found it's very reflective of today's times, but it's not what I wanted to see in a movie that trailer showed a murder mystery as kind of escapism. And to have, only get to this and the meat of this film in the last third act before the finale is really quite a shame. Even the great chemistry that Margot Robbie brings with both John David Washington and Christian Bale is not enough to save this movie, unfortunately. Again, it is a shock of thumbs down, despite the all-studded star cast, wonderful acting, the story, and the way the story is told are the major shortfalls of this movie. Just again, very, very boring and slow-paced for the first and second acts, which almost had me walking out of the theater until finally getting interested in the third act. Yeah, I'd say skip it. It should do a little better on streaming when you can kind of maybe fast forward through the slow parts and also get some, breaks in between, instead of sitting through this 2-hour plus movie in the movie theater through a very boring and convoluted first and second act. We get into Christian Bale's failed marriage, why he entered the military for World War I to try to impress his family, his wife's mother and father, who are rich elitists, yet it's unsuccessful, and they had hoped that he would have died in the war, leaving his daughter free. His daughter, who seemed to possibly have loved him, but we never see the daughter actually have any feelings towards him, treats him very coldly, very much like her parents. So what Christian Bale sees in this woman, he's not out for her riches or her family's riches, so that's not a reason for him to fall in love with her and stay with her through all this stuff. Early on, we find out that he can't even live in the same house with her because her parents refuse, because he seems to be such a loser. And she does nothing to help him, in this matter, or fight against her family or her parents. So showing very, very little, if any, love for him. And that's just one of the many slogs. A more interesting take would have been to focus on the John David Washington character and him getting his law degree. Christian Bale's the doctor, and both are helping the poor veteran community in the United States. And Margot Robbie, we find out, is one of these rich elitists, but had run to Amsterdam during the war to escape that kind of privilege and get in touch with her roots. There are so many avenues that this movie could have taken that would have been much, much more interesting. And the way that it was done just left a bad taste in my mouth. I cannot recommend this movie. Again, Amsterdam, despite good performances, great actors, is a shock and thumbs down. Go ahead and skip it at the theater. Maybe catch it on streaming if you really, really want to. All right, mahalo so much, and aloha.